Okay, so coming up here on stage to talk about VHF simulcast systems and deployable repeaters is Ty Todd, Paco Miralles, and Rob Walker. But I only see one person coming up on stage.
I don't need the other people.
Between the three of them, there's 112 years experience in the industry, so lots of information. And I will hand this over to Paco, yes? I will hand this over to Paco.
All right. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for being here. What a perfect time to do this, right? Right after lunch. So I'm probably going to lose a few of those, but hopefully I can maintain and entertain. So this is a very, it's a high-level presentation. It's basically an introduction to the things that we provide to the market. Ryan just made the introductions. I'm Paco Miralles, and our company is Zetron. I've been with them 8 years, but before that, I've been in the industry for over 25. I was with Motorola before. I was a customer at some point. So we have a lot of experience within Zetron. And we basically focus on P25 LMR systems, phase one, and simulcast systems, and dispatch and command and control, which is all kinds of dispatch console solutions. So today we're going to cover transportable repeaters and then voltage simulcast systems. All right. So why would you need a transportable repeater? Why are they so important to the public safety agencies? Well, for one, it can be quickly deployed. We have some of our units here in the booth, and you can literally go to a site with a different type of deployable system, and within 8 minutes, you're going to be up and running. So that's key to situations where you have to have, some sort of emergency. If you have some sort of emergency, you have to quickly deploy radios to the field to be able to communicate. It's also great for any kind of pneumatic applications. You're talking about any kind of emergency situations like natural disasters, search and rescue operations. This is pretty much what this type of devices are used for. But it also can be used for special events. The city fair, the football games, anything that is out of your typical ordinary communication type of model. You maybe because you don't have the capacity to house special events, you can deploy these repeaters and then have your own private network to be able to operate for those functions. It also, in cases, addresses coverage, RF coverage issues that you might have. Your normal operating LMR system may have some dead spots that you want to address using these repeaters. And since these repeaters can also be linked to your system, then it becomes part of the overall LMR system. It can also be used as backup to your existing LMR system. We have situations in other counties across the country where they're operating on any kind of LMR system, call it P25 trunking system, and then one of the sites fails completely for whatever reason. So these transportable repeaters will allow you to continue the communication on an ad hoc basis. They can also be either standalone or network. If you have an area that is bigger than that one repeater can cover, you can actually network the repeaters because it can come with LTE modems. You can connect to the public network. You can connect via Wi-Fi using standard protocols. And then you can actually feed those signals back to your consoles. So it's not only a localized thing, but you can also network it with a dispatch center, assuming that there's connection to the dispatch center, of course. Any questions so far? All right. So I have some pictures of the different types of transportable solutions. They come in different shapes. It also comes in different form factors and material. You have the polyethylene cases, the aluminum cases, the briefcases. In other words, it really satisfies different type of functions. We have some that go into a truck. Even though it's a portable repeater, you can install it permanently your trucks, or like I said, you have things that you can carry in a backpack to mountaintops, different functions, different functionality within them. They're also highly configurable, and in most cases, these repeaters use, like in our case, we use the same type of transmitter, receiver, all those modules that we use for fixed repeaters, for LMR systems, we use those for these transportable repeaters. There are some manufacturers that use, for example, control stations. You can have different flavors of transportable solutions. And then, of course, the accessories. You have the antennas, the mics. We have brought, for example, a deployable antenna that can go up 13 feet. You can install it. You can fix it with guided cables if it's more of a permanent installation for whatever event you have. In other words, it's very versatile. All right, so this is an example of the briefcase transportable repeater that we have. Our brand name is Stratus, but like I said, many manufacturers have different types of deployable repeaters as such. So it is a P25/LTE. It's got, like I said earlier, you can connect an LTE modem to be able to communicate. If you see at the top there, the different modules, you have you can have duplexers or the UIC card, which is basically the controller card. And then you have transceivers, receivers, and it comes typically with a 30-watt power amplifier. It's a secure end-to-end. It can be secure end-to-end encryption. It can be network, as I said before, and it can be connected back to your console system. So this is a pictorial representation of what I've been saying. So you have this Stratus repeater in the field, and you have your field workers with their portable radios, and that can be connected to a LTE network encrypted back through the firewall into your console system. Now, that also, if you bring that to your console system might be already connected to other systems or the regional LMR system. All of that can be integrated to where the operator is all transparent to the field worker, what that type of integration that is taking place at the console level. This is, again, another pictorial representation of how you can quickly deploy these deployable repeaters and create a network. You have an area of coverage, and then you can link all those devices through the LTE network and back to your console system. So any questions on those? Whenever you get a chance, feel free to stop by there. We have actually a live demo there. I think that we turned it up so you can see all the different components and how modular it can be. So simulcast systems, various simulcast systems. So besides providing standalone repeaters, mountaintops, we can also network. And it doesn't have to be on the deployable. It can also be fixed, where you have a rack full of repeaters and network all those tower sites into different areas. So why is it not, I wouldn't say unique, but what are the benefits of a voting simulcast system? So typically in a regular LMR system, you may have multiple sites, right? And each site may have, you may be running on a multicast. Multiple sites may have different frequencies, right? And then you bring all that through a controller, and that's how you communicate via if you have a trunk system. In a voting system, what you have is multiple receivers, right, that are transmitted on the same frequency. And so you have a voting controller that allows you to pick the strongest signal of all of those receivers. So in that way, you're becoming more efficient in trying to be able to communicate instead of trying to guess in which side will have the strongest signal. So basically what you're doing is improving the talk-in coverage on a system. And on the simulcast system, you're improving the talk-out. You have, like I said, multiple sites operating at the same frequency, and the system selects what the strongest signal will be. There are other benefits of simulcast voted systems, right? As I said earlier, because you have that efficiency, you're also maximizing the coverage on the footprint that you have to operate on. You're addressing the talk-in and talk-out coverage problems by simulcasting and by voting. And so one of the benefits of doing this in a simulcast is basically what I said, is you don't have, in some areas it's very difficult to obtain multiple different types of frequencies, but in the case of the simulcast system, you're using the exact same frequency across the entire network. So from an operational perspective, you don't have to, or the operator, the field worker don't have to guess which channel they need to be on based on which tower's proximity they have. They just talk across the entire network. It's like a cell phone, right? Where you're going from one side to another one and you're not having to switch or redial or re-PTT. The system will automatically know which is the strongest signal, and it's going to continue to allow you to communicate across the entire network. It also allows you to do mixed mode. So many agencies that we deal with, it's almost like a funding issue, as many other issues can be. The fact that you don't have to have the exact same radio to be able to communicate in the network. You can have a digital network, but it can also allow you to operate with your analog. So if you have the fire department working on their analog radios, but you have the PDs working with digital radios, they can interoperate on the same network. And that's a key advantage from a cost perspective, but also from an operational perspective. And of course, this is also available in all kinds of frequency bands, VHF, UHF, 700, 800, 900. So what are the typical users of VHF simulcast systems? What we run across is the small to medium counties. Everybody has their own issues, right? But that's typically what we see, where what they're looking to do is, for example, improve coverage areas. Sometimes they're operating under somebody else's system or through a statewide system, and sometimes they experience areas that is not properly covered through that network. So having your own simulcast system allows you to really address those areas, those dead spots that are so important to your operation. The other piece that I mentioned briefly earlier is it provides a backup to the large system. You may already have a phase 2 trunking system, but this also allows you to have a backup in case something happens to that. It's very easy to operate, like I said earlier, to the users in the field. It's seamless, right? You program your channels. A typical simulcast system is not as complex as a phase 2 system in that you don't have hundreds of talk groups, right? You have a handful of talk groups, and so you're assigned to that channel, and for the most part, you don't have to change the channel. You just talk through it, unless, you have multiple channels that you have to talk to. The other key thing is that these simulcast systems are designed for operability, but also interoperability. Primarily operability, because 98% of the time, you're dealing with the business within your county, within your agency, right? But it also allows you to talk to the state's channels or the adjacent county that may have a completely different system. That integration is possible using simulcast systems, especially when you integrate that into the console system. So it becomes very efficient for the day-to-day activity that you have at hand. So one thing that is kind of an intangible, but it's also important that if this is your system, you control your system. So you don't have to rely on what happened to that other network that I'm subscribing to, whether it's going down. You have really very little control over it, how that's programmed, how that's designed. At that point, you don't have much control over that. When people that we have dealt with deploy these simulcast systems, the control gets back to the end user, right? To the entity that is buying the system. So it's easy to schedule any kind of upgrades or what have you. And then there is always that need for integrating the existing dispatch console into the system. And it's standard protocol, DFSI, that those repeaters, that network is getting back to the console. And like I said, once in the console, then you can integrate just about anything you want besides your simulcast system. Any questions so far? Okay. So if you're interested in seeing how deployable repeaters or simulcast, voice simulcast system actually work, you have a great reference right here. Douglas County Sheriff's Office is my use case today. And this is a typical customer for us in that it always starts with, I need one repeater at this site because I don't have good coverage. And it ends up into a multi-site, multi-repeater system that serves all of those things that I mentioned earlier, right? It starts with maybe a coverage issue, but then it becomes, well, it's a great backup for us. And we can also defer some of the operation on the main system onto that system for special occasions as well. So it serves multiple purposes. They continue to expand. Right now they have 4 sites, well, 3 sites, 1 in construction, but they're adding 3 more sites. And the same thing is for the deployables. In fact, all of the deployables that we have there on the table, they're the county's deployable units that are all set up. So I have some pictures. This is their SWAT team in a practice drill. As you can see, that same antenna is the one that we have there. It can go up 13 feet. And you can see the guided cables. So for a permanent installation, if you're in an area where there's too much wind and stuff, you can do that and make it more of a permanent installation. And this is one of the 4 sites that I mentioned earlier. But again, if you want more information, if you want to see the system operation, please reach out to Jess Vaughn. I'm sure that you have his email. Everybody knows Jeff here, and he'll be glad to spend some time with you and show it. So with that, are we okay? Questions, comments? All right. I'm sorry? The range? Well, it depends on the power out. Depends, I mean, there's different factors, right? The terrain, the height, the power out. And that's also important in the selection of the frequencies, right? One thing that I think I kind of didn't mention effectively is the fact that most of the customers that we deal with, they already are on a 700, 800 meg system, okay? And they may be on a phase 2 trunking system, right? The way you design those systems is probably a little bit different than the way we would design VHF or UHF system. The way those signals propagate across the footprint is a little different. Every frequency range has different characteristics, right? So VHF, UHF tends to go farther distance. They do well with the foliage, right? Whereas the 800, 700 they penetrate buildings and they're more effective in metropolitan areas. So I'm being very generic about that, right? But it's one of the many factors that is taken into account when we designing those systems. Good. All right. Well, thank you again for your time. If you think of something else, we'll be around, okay?